Good evening, everyone. If you can hear my voice, can you put it on the chat box so you can hear my voice? All right, perfect. Thank you very much. All right, so I'm going to share my screen now. If you can see my screen, can you put it on the chat box that you can see my screen? Can you see my Power BI screen? All right, so you are welcome to the Power BI class. And just a quick run over of what we did last week. You remember that I taught you how to get data from different data sets, and I also taught you how to filter pages, visualization, and this is where your data will be. So today we want to talk about data preparation and cleaning. That is, we are going to prepare our data and we are going to clean our data. So part of the things we are going to talk about is I'm going to introduce you to the Power Query Editor, and as well transforming data, renaming data, changing data types, also removing duplicates, handling missing values, and the likes. So, like I said, you can get data from many sources, but the data that we want to get today is from an Excel workbook. So I can either use what is here, that is import data from Excel, or I can use Excel workbook, or I can come here and say get data from Excel workbook. So I go to the Power BI, import my data, then I click on open. So I ought to have known where I save my Power BI. So you see the data loading. Now, last week, if you remember very well, when I uploaded the data, so you will select this. When I uploaded the data last week, if you remember very well, what I did was to load the data and I didn't click on transform the data. So in introducing you to Power Query Editor, because to clean data in Power BI, data are cleaned in the Power Query Editor. Data are cleaned in the Power Query Editor, and is also known as the transform data. That is, we want to transform our data. So in cleaning the data, we are going to click on transform data, and it will lead us to another window. So we have our Power Query window. Now I want you to note all these steps very well, because every cleaning that you do is going to be on this right side. Every process that you performed is going to be on this right side. So now you can do as many things as possible to clean the data. So for example, now, if we look at this data, we have full name, we have the email address, we have the phone number, the date of birth, the address, and we also have like a random data. Now, if we are informing our stakeholder, if you look at this random data, it's possibly a dirty data and is not needed. So if you want to clean this data now, we can remove these rows. So remove the column rather. So we remove the column because it's not needed. Now, other things we can do is to remove duplicates. So if we want to remove duplicates, you can see here, keep duplicates and remove duplicates. So here we can remove duplicates. I don't know why people are in the lobby, because normally you are not supposed to be in the lobby. I'm not supposed to be admitting you or anything. So remove duplicates. So you can click on remove duplicates and it will remove the duplicate for you. So let me click on remove duplicates. Now it has removed the duplicate for us. And you can see on this side, all the steps that I'm performing is there. If I want to undo, all I need to do is to cancel this. So let me cancel it. You can see that the data comes back and it adjusts it itself. Let me also click back to remove column. You can see our column is back. I believe that you understand it now. So that is why you need to know all these steps here and note it. So let me do it back again. Let me remove this column. Remove the column because it's not needed. I just deliberately added that column. It's not needed. And let's remove duplicates. So let's continue the steps. Then let's remove blank rows in case there are blank rows. So these are things that you do in when you are cleaning data. Then you remove errors as well. You can remove errors as well. So now, as a Power BI data analyst, you might be asked to, can we have this full name? Maybe one of your stakeholders tell you that, can we have this full name splitted into the first name and the last name? That is, can we transform this full name splitted to the first name and the last name? So if you want to do that, you go to transform column. And when you go to transform column, you go to split column and you go to by delimiter. So for by delimiter, you can use either each occurrence of the delimiter or rightmost delimiter or leftmost delimiter. Now, I will tell you which one is most appropriate for you to use most of the time. And most of the time, it's better that you use the rightmost delimiter when you are separating the first name and the last name alone. And it's not like you are separating three. So if you are separating, if you have like 3 words together and you want to separate just one, then you can, you want to separate the rightmost alone, then you can use the rightmost delimiter. But the problem with using each occurrence of the delimiter is that you can have as many columns as possible, because if I look at this data now, there are some of it that some people might have some other names included in that might be up to 4 and it's not 2. And look at this is 3. So when I split by that, when I split by space alone, if I split by space alone, it's going to give me up to 4 columns. So let me split by space. Now you can change it. I'm using space because this was separated by space. That is why I'm using space. You can change it if your data was separated by semicolon, or it was separated by equal sign, or it was separated by a comma, or it was separated by a colon. And you can also change it custom. That is filling what separates them. So let's look at space. Then we click OK. Now you can see here that our column has splitted, and you can see that it has splitted up to 4. The reason it's splitted up to 4 is because there are some spaces that have four names, like you can see there. Then this one has, all these ones have up to 3 names. So you can see. So that is why sometimes it's preferably to use either the leftmost or the rightmost. So let me cancel the process now. Don't forget, this is like an undo, like Control Z when you are using Microsoft Office. So let's undo it. Let's undo it. Now you can see we've added our full names back. So split column by delimiter and by space. So let's click on the rightmost. Then we click OK. Oh, let me undo back. It was phone number that I went to click on. It was because I click on phone number, and phone number are not separated by space. That's why it's like that. We are dealing with full name. So you have to click on the column you want to split. So if you go and click on this, if you go and click on phone number, it will not work. You have to click on the column that you want to split. So split column by delimiter, then rightmost, then click OK. So we can see here that it has splitted. However, we might need the full name together. So to do this in Power BI, we need to undo this. That is, we might still need the full name together and also the separate names as well. So let's undo this. So the first thing you do, if you need the full name, if you still need the full name and you still want to split it, is to duplicate this table. This column. So you can duplicate it by right-clicking. All I did here is to right-click, and you can see duplicate column. So I will just click on duplicate column. So you can see here that it is duplicated here. And I can drag it. You can see the way I'm dragging it. I can drag it to come to where I want. So this is where I want it, because it is this that I want to split now. So let me split name. Let me split it by delimiter. And this time around, let's use the leftmost delimiter, which will also give us the same thing because they are mostly two data. So here you have to rename the column. So you click on this first name and you click on this last name. Now, you have to look at the data very well. As you can see this full name, you are seeing ABC beside it. So this is correct by looking at the data types. So this is correct because the data type is correct there, because the data type has to be consistent as well. Now, first name here is also alphabet, which is correct. Last name here is also string, which is correct. Email address is string, which is correct. But if you look at this phone number, it's showing string, which is not correct. So it's part of cleaning data, that is changing the data types. So all you need to do is to click on it, then right click. You click on top, not on the rows, you click on it, then right click, and you look for change type. So to change type, we are going to change it to numbers because it is not text. It is numbers. Oh, it's going to give us error. It's giving error. And the reason why it's giving error is because I said it should be a whole number. Okay, let me return it back to text. Now, the reason why we are going to leave it as text is because now if you look at the data very well, because the data is not properly cleaned, if you look at the numbers that are the phone numbers that are here, they are not real phone numbers. Then I want to say this because one of the reasons why for those that were in Excel class, one of the reasons why YouTube blocked that video at first, but they've released it now, was because they thought they are real names. So disclaimer, these are not real names and these are not real phone numbers. They are all fake data from Python. So don't read any meaning to it. And I believe that YouTube also listens to the video before they allow you to upload it. And that maybe because I didn't say that at first. So disclaimer, this data is not a real data. They are fake data generated by Python. And it's because they are fake data generated by Python, that is why these phone numbers look somehow. And phone numbers are not written like this in a database. So phone numbers should be numbers, and it should work when you change it to numbers because they will be consistent. Now, if you look at date of birth, the date of birth already is in the correct format, because if you look at it, the data type is dates, is in the correct format already. The data type is in dates and is in the correct format already, so you don't need to do anything with that. So for address, it's also in the correct format, which is text, because text will allow you to include both numbers and alphabets. So these are what everything you can change your data type to, either to date and time. There are sometimes that you will have some data and it will not, Power BI has the capability to actually read. That's one of the advantage of Power BI. This was not in date and time before, dates before, but immediately it was inputted into Power BI, it detected the data type. And that is why we have here detects data type. So it detects all the data type itself. That is one of the capability of Power BI. Is one of the capability of Power BI. But because you are a data analyst, and if you don't change it, if you don't look at it properly, you might have some issues. If you don't look at it properly, you might have some issues, and so there might be problem as well. So here we can also, I can say that I want to change it to I want to transform to year. Now you can see that I've extracted only the year alone, but this is not a good practice, because that has done what? It has deleted all the day and the month. So that is not a good practice. So like I said before, undo here. What you do first is to duplicate this column, because we need to retain it. So let's copy it back here. And so if we want to transform it to year, that is year alone, then we can have year here. So that means that we have splitted it into year. So we have to rename this to year. It's part of transformation. Then again, if we want to split it into quarter, so again, let's duplicate this column. And let's bring it here. So right click again and click on transform and quarter. You understand what I mean by quarter? Quarter is the we are in the first quarter of the year now. That's from January to April. Then the second quarter is from March to from May to June to July, sorry, and stuff like that. So let's also do it by quarter. Now you can see, now because they are in 1 to 3, so all these 1 to 4, if you look at everything that is here, they are just 1 to 4, which is the first quarter. So we can say that this is the first quarter, this is the third quarter. This was done in the third quarter. To confirm it, this was August. So the first quarter is from January to March. The second quarter is from April, May, June, and the third quarter is July, August, September. That is every 33 months. So because the reason why I split it to quarter is because when we are going to some visualizations, now because of time, I would have cleaned those data, and you will see that I have already created some quarter. And so if you want to know the profits, for example, if it's an organization and you want to know the profits quarter by quarter, then obviously you have to split the data into quarter, because the data you will just have dates and it will not be in quarter. So I have to rename this as quarter. So that's the essence of quarter. So if you want to know, for example, if it's a company now and they want to compare the profit of first quarter to the second quarter of the year, or third quarter to the fourth quarter of a year, so that is why you split it like that. So we can also do some other splitting as well. Let's duplicate this column and drag it to this place So transform. So we can split it by months. We can split it by months. So, for example, this data now, they might want to know is an employee. This data is an employee data. So they might want to know how many people are celebrating their birthday in a month, how many people are celebrating their birthday in the month of March. And so you have to split it here in the Power Query first before you move it and you load the data in Power BI itself. So let me split it by months. So as you can see here, you have 1, 2, obviously, we can still change this to January, February. We can change this to January, February, March. We can change that. And here, we can do it in several ways. There are several ways you can do it. So one of the ways you can do it is here, just come here and say replace value. So wherever you find one, replace it with January. This is a way. This is a way you can do it. Okay, now this is not going to allow me. The reason why it's not going to allow me is because I have already said this field is number. So if I change this field to text, now I've changed it to text now. So let me say replace one with January. All ones will be replaced with January. All ones, they will be replaced with January. All ones will be replaced with January. Now you can see here that is also replacing 10. So now, so the first thing you do is, let's undo what I just did now. Let me undo it because it's seeing this one as 10 and seeing 11 as 10. So let's start from the back. So replace 12 with December. So you'll see that there's December here already. So if I scroll down, you'll see December. Then again, replace 11 with November. Then click on OK. You can see that it has replaced. So you can replace values like that. I just thought that you can replace. There are several ways to change this to months, but this is one of the ways. So another thing you can do is you can right click, and there are several things you can do as well. Transforming, okay, for example, if I want to transform all my first names into just capital letter alone, so I want to transform all this first name into capital letter alone, I will just say uppercase and change it to uppercase. So you can see I've changed all the first name to uppercase alone. I've changed it to uppercase alone. So don't forget, this is just, we are just in the field of, you can see it up here, Power Query Editor. Then another feature you can use is you can add a column. You can add a column, and addition of column, you can add 2 columns together. But because of the way this data is, I'm not sure that I have an example of adding columns. But we can add these 2 columns together. So let me cancel this upper text. Let me do it like that. For example, if we want to add these 2 columns together, the first name and the last name, we want to add it together. So let me go to custom column. So the new column will be full name again. So equals to first name, then insert, then plus, we want to add it to we want to join them together, but we are not using any plus, it's just the space. So then we click on OK. Why is it not working? Okay, now the reason why it's giving error is because I didn't specify whether it should be a text or not. Why is it giving error? Now, yes, the reason why it's giving error, let me cancel it. Like I said, the reason why it's giving error is because these two were created tables. They were tables that were created. So this is the reason why it is giving errors. So for example, one of the ways you can use custom column, that is, one of the ways you can use custom column is if you want to add, maybe you have one column or the other and you want to add them together, then you can use it. If you are not unsure of what to use, then you can click on Power Query Formulas. It's down there, and it will load you to how you can add Power Query, how you can add columns together. Of course, you have to have the internet. So you can see there is nothing. This is the syntax. There is nothing there. This is online. This is the syntax and there is nothing there. But the reason why it gave us error was because these two are also created columns. And that is why we experience error. So if we try to add this and this together, it's not going to give us error because that is the syntax. That is the syntax. So I'm going to send this data to you. You can always replace all these. Let me say 10 now, replace it with October. And when you are done, I'm not going to click on it because I know some of you might still have questions. So when you are done, you click on close and apply. So immediately you click on close and apply, what you have done is all this process that you have done, that is all these transformations and the cleaning that you have done, it will apply them in the data and the data will load in Power BI. Let me take some questions before we move on. Yes, there's a way to change the numbers to months without doing it individually. There's a way to change it. It's possible. I've said it the other time. Someone is saying you cannot hear anything. I think you are the only one that cannot hear anything. Okay, somebody asked that what happens when delimiting and you have 3 names? Like I have said, if you have 3 names, then you have to use the fourth option, the third option. If you have 3 names, that means people might have first name, middle name, and last name. So if you have 3 names, then you use this option, split column by delimiter. You use the last option here, each occurrence of the delimiter. That is what you will use. So you have first name, middle name, and the last name, and it is going to split it for you. Please show us the way. Now, the way this data was built, was built in form of dates. Okay, let me put date and time. Now, okay. Now, so the way this data was built, it's difficult to change it to months and let me cancel this. Have I canceled that? Yeah, dates. The way this data was built is difficult to change it. the most easiest way to do it is if the date of birth is already in months, is already, that is what I mean by months is, okay, you already have 19th of December, this and this. But the way this data was built is difficult to change it, that, okay, yes, let me change this to time, let me change it to months, let me change it to days and stuff like that. It's difficult to do that because of the approach of this data, because it's a fake data. And that is why it's like that. If it's a real data that was already collected from a website, then it's very easy to do. So the challenge of this data is because it's a fake data, and that is why I had to invent that method and say, because even in Excel, if I try to use long dates, it wasn't changing to the months. And if I use the normal data, it will change. It will change the month to October and November in Excel. But because of this fake data and the way it was built, because it was generated using Python, that is why it's not changing. And that's why I can't use this as an example. So that is why I invented that you can just go to this and replace this. That's a good method. Just replace the value. Replace the value. Have I done 10? I'm not sure. Replace it to October. So it's already replaced. Replaced 9 to. So if you are giving real data, because it's a real data, it's going to change. And but because, so even in Excel, it will change. But if I go to Excel and try to change this even to long dates, I mean this date of birth to long dates, it's not going to change. I tried it yesterday, it's not going to change. It's not going to change the months. And normally when you change it to long dates, normally you're supposed to change it to months. It's supposed to change 01 to January, but it's not going to change. And that was because the data was generated using Python. All right. I tried to load Excel workbook that has numbers like 10,000, and it changed the number to 1 and 2. Okay, please, why did it change the numbers to a single unit? Okay. Number one, I want to say that if you open that Excel sheet, it's possibly that it's the data type was in text. And so Power BI detected it as text. I don't know the Excel workbook you are talking about, but if you open the Excel workbook, I think it's what will be showing there is text. If you come here, if you open the Excel workbook and you go to if I want to check data type for this now, change type, this is text. So if I should say that I want to add 00 to it, because it is text, it's going to remove it. So Power BI detected it as text because when that Excel workbook, when you loaded it, is already in text. So what you can do is either you go to the Excel workbook, change it to numbers, change the data type to numbers, or when you load it into Power BI, come here, come and check, is it in text or numbers? But I'm quite sure that it will probably be in text. Then come here, right click and change the data type to a whole number. And you can see that when you change it to a whole number, you will be able to, it's going to load it correctly to you. It's going to load it correctly for you. Yeah, I think we need to check the date format too. Does it follow an American format? I think for American formats, and I have very good students. American formats or no American formats, it depends on what your organization uses. For example, you might be in another country and be working for an organization in America, and you are not even in America. Obviously, the way the dates will be recorded will be in American formats. But if you are working in a country, and because this is just a fake data now, and they will use the format of those dates that is being used. I'm not sure you are getting what I'm trying to say. When you download the data from the website and you want to clean the data, the format would have already been set. So it's only when you are giving, it's only probably you go for a test, and maybe you will go for a test of a company. Yeah, date format of host country company. Yes, it's only when you probably you are going for an interview and they tell you that, can you change these dates? They tell you to clean the data and change this date to American format. That's only when it works. All the data that I've been working with the companies that I've worked with, it has always been in the data format of the host country company. And because that's a real live data, and that is how it works. It's a real live data set, and that is how it works. So I've had little or nothing to do with dates, except I want to split into quarter, split into months, and it's always easy because it's not a fake data. So it's easy to split into quarter, it's easy to split into months and stuff like that. And before we load it into Power BI. All right. Do you have any other question? Let me go to the Q&A. Maybe somebody, I think I saw probably somebody dropped. I cannot hear anything, please. I guess it's your network because people can hear me. All right. So in the absence of no questions, I think I can move on. Yeah. So now let's attempt to finish this so that we can load it. Let me attempt to finish this. Let's replace these values. So let me replace 8 with August. Let me replace, I just wanted to check before I continue, before that we don't have a lot of questions. And so let me replace this 7 with July. Then 6 with June. Then again 5 with May. And replace 4 with April. And replace 3 with March. Then replace 2 with February. Then replace 1 with January. Now I've splitted into here. I can also edit this instead of having 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can say first quarter, second quarter. But to do that, I have to edit this into a text. I have to change the data type into text and not whole numbers. So let me change it to text. So let me replace value. So every one should be changed to first quarter. This one you are going to change, you are going to use, there's no way to do this. There's no fast and hard rule to this. You change this one yourself. Replace all 1 with first quarter. Then replace all 2s with the second quarter of the year. Then replace all 3 with the third quarter. and replace all fours into the fourth quarter. So as we can, if I click on this now, everything has aligned together. So let me see if do we have any question? Yes, but that data was cleaned. Yeah, it showed long date last week, yes. But that data was a clean data. This one is not a clean data. This one is not a cleaned data. That data was a cleaned data. This one is not a cleaned data. And that's the difference. And that was why long date worked. This one is not a cleaned data. Is it the file extension? No, it's not the file extension. It's also .xlx. So fake data can work in any way. I use different code to work it out. So fake data, you can't expect them to perform the way a real data will perform. And that's why it is a fake data. You can't expect them to perform the way a real data will perform. And like I said in the webinar, because of data privacy issues, we cannot use a real data. We cannot use a real data because of data privacy issues. We can't use a real data. And that is why even YouTube blocked the video of yesterday, because I did not say it in the video. So they assess every video to be sure that they are not real names. So until I send them a mail that these are not real names, and that was when the YouTube video was able to stay that they were fake data. So, and that's why I'm repeating it again. That is fake data and it is not real. Every column there are all fake and they are not real. So if you are possibly done with the cleaning, then there's also a way you can also do it. We can split this, that is, transform it into weekdays. So let me duplicate this and bring it here. So there are different ways you can work on. And let me change this to, okay, let me transform it first. And say to week of the year, or let's say day. So day of week or day of the year. So let's say day of the year. This is day of the year. That's not what we need. Let's change it back. Let's undo it. This is now this can be useful. For example, this day of the year can be useful in the sense that if we want to know, okay, how many people did this in the last 300 days and stuff like that, it could be useful, but that's not what we need. We need day of the week. So day of week. So you can see we have now 0. It will always start from 0. So 0 is Sunday, because the day of the week starts from Sunday. The day of the week does not start from Monday. The day of the week starts from Sunday. So we can replace 0, replace 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Replace them with Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So the end of the week is Saturday. The start of the week is Sunday. Note it very, very well. And the end of the week is Saturday. So let me close this because I want to, okay, let me replace them. I think we still got enough some time. Or do you have any question? Can you illustrate how to extract the dates from the address column? It's very easy to extract dates now. And to extract, okay, let me cancel this then. Let me undo this. It's very easy to extract, what's it called? City. For example, if we want to extract city now, we look at it very well. Now, looking at this, you observe that, like I said, because it's a fake data, you observe that we have comma. This is delimited by comma. So let's duplicate this first. let's duplicate this column. So go to split column and just split it by comma. So it's very easy. You just split it by comma and use each occurrence of the delimiter, because you don't know, the first address is the first line of address, and the second one is the town. The third one there is the postcode. For those of us that we stay in the western for those of us that stay abroad, you understand what I mean by postcode. The last one there is the postcode. So you can see here by itself, Power BI has detected that the column was separated by comma, because that's how powerful Power BI is, but always confirm it. So if I click on OK, you can see that it has separated it by itself. So this is the first line of address. Then you can rename this as first line of address, first line address, and rename this as city. Rename this as city, then rename this as postcode. So it's still part of data cleaning. This is postcode, this is city, this is first line of address. If you have state there, it will also be separated by something. So you can see that it has already separated itself. Do we have any other question? All right, I think I've answered that. So that's a very good question. But I believe that you should be able to do it yourself. But well, I've demonstrated it. So it was separated by comma. But Power BI is even powerful. It will tell you the delimiter. I think that is what separated it. But you need to rename it here. You need to rename the column here, so that will it will make sense to your stakeholders, to your end users. So in the respect of no question, I want to move away from. I want to close it and apply it. And you see how it's going to show in Power BI. So let me close and apply. So here you click on apply changes, and it will evaluate itself. You can see that the data is loading the connection. So it's loading the data into the model. So correct, and it has loaded it. 500 data loaded already. So we have everything here. We have quarter, we have year, we have months, we have first name, date of birth, and blah, 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 phone number, address, city. This data is not it's not, we are not talking about visualization. I just wanted to share it so that you will know this is where even all the generated data that we generated, that is how you will see it. That's how you are going to see it there. You can see it's already showing that, and you can draw out your visualization to know what you want to do. For example, let me just give us one visualization. It's not part of the class, but let's have a line chart, because we still got some time. No. We don't really have counting of numbers. Okay. We have address, we have city. Okay. Let me have city here. And possibly have here. No. The data is not, because it's not a cleaning data. So it's not really for visualization. I just created it for cleaning. So it's not really informing. For example, like last week data that we did on products and co, it would have informed us and we'll be able to know, okay, how many products were sold in a quarter, how many products were sold in a month, how many products were sold in a year, and that would have informed us. Let's see if we have any other question. Okay, why do we need to register the team link every week? Yes, I need to track that's a good question. I need to track everybody that attend, because when you write your name, that's why I encourage you, always write your full name. Like I said, I'm not going to give certificate for people that don't attend regular classes. So out of all the classes, you did not attend at all. I did not even see your face at all. And you now say, oh, I want a certificate. So you need to register. So there is an attendance. That's what marks your attendance. So that's why I do it every week. Can't we use a single team link for each class? Because I'm using a webinar link, and webinar, you cannot do it to be recurring. So I have to take attendance every week. Like I said, I'm a man of integrity. So I will not give certificates to anyone. I will not give certificates to anyone. So I think the issue is with date is the format. Month must come before the day. That is, I'm not sure I understand what that person is saying. Yes, yeah, I said it is the issue with the format of the date. Yes, the format of the date has to change. Could you illustrate how to extract date? Yes, I've said that. Yeah, the format of the date has to change. That is 28th January 2025 should be shortened as 1/28/2025 and not. Yeah, very good. Thank you that you tried it and it was just like I said, is the format. Now that is why it's not going to work that way. It's the format of the dates, and that is why shortening it, that is using long date, is not going to work because of the format of that date. So sorry that you need to register every day, but you are in a class, so I need to track the attendance, and that's the best way I can track attendance. So, and webinar does not have, you can't do it, a webinar link, you can't do it to be reoccurring. And for Microsoft Teams, it doesn't record attendance. So that's why you have to do it every week. Do we have any other question? Any other question? All right. So in the absence of no question, so for example, let's assume that I want to possibly still do some cleaning. Maybe I have mistakenly closed and applied my data, and I still want to do some cleaning. All I need to do is to click here, and go to the Power Query. And go back to the Power Query here. I don't know why this thing is. So all I need to do is to right click and go to edit what? Edit query. So it will take me back to the Power Query. So I can still do any editing that I want to do. So even if you have clicked on close and apply and you discover that, oh, there's a mistake in what I've done. There's a mistake in what I've done and I possibly did not do it well. So you can still Let me click close and apply again. You can still come back here, right click and go to edit query. And it will take you back to the Power Query. So there is no fast and hard rule to it. Then there's something that you need to know as well. For example, is because in my Excel sheet, I've already set that my header should be as first row. So if you possibly have an Excel sheet that the header has not been set as first row, you will need to click on the on one of the columns and click on this by saying that use first row as headers, so that you know that that is the head of your table. Can this same data that has been cleaned be used in Excel? Yes, why not? It can be used in Excel, because all you need to do is to export it to Excel. So it can be used in Excel 100%. It can be used in Excel. Like I said, Excel is Power BI is like, because they are all Microsoft products. So Power BI is like an advance of, it's not really, will I say advanced, like a polished way of doing it, because all I've just done here, for those of you that were in Excel class yesterday, could also be done in Excel. But Power BI offers a better approach. Like, you just be clicking, you don't need to cram any formula, you just be clicking it. And so that's like, it's like you have, if you are using iPhone 15 Pro Max before and you now bought iPhone 16 Pro Max, so that is for 16 Pro Max, they've added some features. So Power BI is like an added feature to what Excel can do. So they added a feature to it. Do you understand it now? So with that, in the absence of no question, we come to the end of the class. Yes, after visualizing your data and you edit the query, will it update the yes, it's going to update automatically. It's going to update. When you update your query, it's going to update automatically. It will update automatically. There are several ways to export to Excel. From your Power Query here, you can control everything and paste it in Excel. And when you close and apply, you can go to your visualization. Let me close and apply here. And this is one of my a fake visualization, and you export the data. You can also export the data there, depending on what you want to export. You can see export data, and it will export it to Excel. So depending on what you want to export. So I've shown you two ways, depending on the columns you want to do. Can we master Power BI more than Excel? It depends on what you want. It depends on your interest. That's not that's not me now. It depends on your interest. If you prefer Power BI, but I always say that you need to have a good knowledge of Excel before you say you want to learn Power BI successfully. Because if you have a good knowledge of Excel, everything that I've done here will not be strange to you now, because I just click on it and click on some of those things. Yesterday, I also did text to column in Excel, but here you can see that it's much more easier than in Excel. For those of you that you are in Excel class yesterday. All right. So if you enjoyed the class, just give a reaction. I will post the yeah, some companies will always go for Excel. Yes, because there is Power BI subscription. You have to pay for Power BI subscription. So Excel is cheaper. So that's why it's good to know Excel first, then before you go to Power BI. All right, so I will post this video within the next 24 to 48 hours on my YouTube, and I'll post it on the WhatsApp group. So thank you for joining the class. So next week, we are going to talk about data modeling and relationship. So we look at understanding tables, relationship and keys, creating relationship between tables. We look at introduction to schemas. Then we look at how we can calculate columns and the like. So we are not going to use this data because I know somebody might also ask me next week, why are we using different data? So we are not going to use this data because we are going to use more or less like a sales data set so that it can fit into what we want to do next week. So thank you very much for joining. See you next week and bye for now.